I'm just waiting on notification.
And we are.
I'm not to be mocked. Oh man, I'm not to be mocked. All right, here we go. Okay, perfect. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. And that is none other than Sister Zaynah Muhammad. First of all, assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Okay, great. I want to, first of all, thank you on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have an amazing conversation with us. We look forward to it. All right. So the first question we have, don't just get blank stare like that again. Okay. So the first question we have is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I was born in the Nation of Islam, so I can't recall. I can't recall the first time I heard the teachings. My mother and father have been instilling it in me since I was a baby. So I've been fortunate enough to have been hearing the teachings my whole life. Praise be to Allah.
Okay, great. And speaking of your mother and father, can you please tell me who your mother is?
Sister Lakeisha.
Yes, ma'am. And what city, or first of all, what city are you from?
Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey. Okay, I knew I heard a strong, aggressive accent. I just wanted to
shut up.
So Newark, New Jersey. And where's your mother from?
They are in Newcastle, Delaware right now. Wilmington, Mosque number 35.
Wilmington, Delaware. Praise be to Allah. And your father, what is his name?
John, Brother John.
Brother John. Excellent. And for those who are want to listen to an incredible love story, please go back and listen to when I had the honor of interviewing your parents. They did a great job.
Yes.
Okay, great. My next question, okay, here we go. My next question for you is, growing up in the nation, what was that like in Newark?
Well, it's a little different because we had a study group that was in Asbury Park. So we were a part of Newark, but we really only went to Newark maybe a couple times a month or a few times a month. But we were able to, praise be to a lot of believers in our study group, were bringing out so many guests to Newark that we were given permission to have our own meetings in Asbury Park. So I have like both homes that I would call, that I would say the mosque that I grew up in. So growing up in Asbury Park by way of Newark was amazing. I mean, it's all I knew. I didn't go to public school until I was in 5th grade. So all of the children in the mosque and all of the believers in the mosque, that was my family. I didn't know. It was like I lived in a bubble. You know, I really didn't get introduced into the outside world until much later. Some of my best memories was from growing up in a nation, and it wasn't even nothing significant. It was just being at the mosque all day. The mosque used to be at 2:00. We wouldn't get home until 8:00. So just being there, those long holdback meetings, and us just running around and us just playing games and playing slide. I mean, it sounds basic and boring, but it was everything, because you know, you didn't have nothing else. I didn't play sports. I didn't play sports until middle school. So there was no sports. There was no like organized extracurricular things for us to do. So just being at the mosque was a thing.
Okay.
That was like the highlight of my week.
Okay. Now, excellent. Can you clear that for us? Asbury Park to Newark. When the people come on from New York, like mainly my homie brother Kyrie, he explained to me what Queens and the boroughs and all of that was. You know, somebody who's from New York one time. So what is it like? How far of a distance is that? Like from Newark?
Well, the dedication was real from my parents, I would say, and all the believers at Asbury, because it was an hour drive.
Okay.
We were an hour away. The city of Asbury Park is so super, super small. However, it's like two worlds in Asbury Park. A lot of people think about the beach when they live in that area. Okay. It's a beach, it's glamorous by the beach, and then you cross over these train tracks that in a sense divide the city. So on one side, you have the beach and the good life and the happy and the fun. And then on the other side, you have the hood and you have the crime rate and you have the murder rate jumping. So we lived in a hood side, just FYI. So it made sense for the study group to be on that side of town. And the people there just, they appreciated the believers that were in the city because it was like a beacon of light. Like the believers in Asbury Park was literally a beacon of light to the people, and even to this day, the Nation of Islam back in those years has impacted the city. Anybody in Nation of Islam can go to Asbury Park right now, start a final call, and you'll get a good reception from the people there, from the community. So the believers there have and are still doing great work in the city.
Praise be to Allah. And you are teaching me as well as the viewing audience about Asbury Park. As long as I'm in there, I never heard of this place called Asbury Park. All right, wonderful. Yeah. My sister Miriam says Assalamu alaikum. And what I wanted to ask you was, who trained you once you became a Vanguard?
Once I became a Vanguard, I would say Sister Alnisa. Shout out to Sister Alnisa. Shout out to Sister Zakia. Shout out to Sister Doreen, my mother. Those few people, there were so many more, but they were the ones that really, really took me under their wing, especially Sister Zakia, because for so long, she had been, securing Mother Farrakhan by the grace of Allah. So she was like a little mini celebrity that we had, because she brought all the wisdom and the stories back to us. And she was kind of able to give us the cheat code in a sense to the training. This is what we're doing. This is how we're moving. This is what you don't do. Because when you start to secure, she would always tell us, when you secure the minister, she would put that in our hearts and mind. And at the time, we probably would never think that we would end up doing it. But she would say, when it's your turn to secure Mother Farrakhan, this is what you do and don't do. When it's your turn to be on the detail. So she spoke that onto us, and we were only 14, 15, 16. So she gave us so much motivation. And we felt, when we trained with her, we felt like we was doing something. You know what I mean? Because we had her in our city, and we felt like she was such a jewel and a gem that we just soaked it all in. And many of us went on to secure Mother Farrakhan, praise be to Allah. So she definitely manifested that soldier mentality in all of us.
Beautiful, praise be to Allah. Well, I definitely shout out to Zakia, very kind sister and a soldier who's always told you down. Okay, well, I had I met you backstage at the drill competition about a few years ago, because it was the first time that we, even though we both grew up in the nation, we just never crossed paths, I don't believe.
Right.
But I see you're on stage, I'm in the audience, we're rooting. Of course, we're landing the home team, but then we see a sister come across in Newark, sounding very much like Brother Josh, in my opinion, very much with this new type of cadence, a new type of style. How did you get a passion for drill, and how did you learn to control the microphone to be a DI like that?
Well, I actually started drilling when I was about 6 or 7. I would always see the sisters drill, obviously locally, and I don't know if it's that inspirational tape, that let them go, let the four winds blow, that whole famous routine. I don't know if it was Chicago. I don't know. I hope I'm not wrong.
It's Chicago.
But that video played so much in my household that was the image of drill that I had as a young child, the FOI. Even though I knew the sisters drilled, when I thought about drill on a big stage, it was the brothers. So that's the motivation that I had growing up. And I knew that when I was going to call the cadence, it wasn't going to be soft. It wasn't going to be anything feminine about it, because I saw nothing but the FOI up on that stage doing it. So my parents actually taught me how to drill.
Okay.
My mother and father both. We would be in the basement going over it left and right, left face, right face. And we would be in the kitchen with my little cousin. She was only 5 at the time. Like, we were really, really young, but they taught us at a young age. And I don't know that they saw that I needed to be the DI, I think that I was the only one that was willing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to that wasn't fearful of taking the microphones, because I believe that my sisters were very capable. They just didn't want to do it. So I was given the opportunity. I think I had the confidence and the wherewithal to kind of say, okay, I don't mind. I'll do it. I was scared. I was nervous, but I didn't shy away from it. So I think my parents saw that and said, okay, well, she wants to do it. Let her do it. And the first time that we drilled on a national competition was Savers Day 2001, which was
Okay.
in Los Angeles. And that was incredible. You know, it was like a dream. And that Savers Day, the Honorable Minister Sis Farrakhan and Mother Farrakhan were in the audience. And we were able to do our routine because he wasn't there the whole time. He came shortly before we drilled, and he left shortly after. So praise be to Allah, we were able to show him our routine. We didn't win, but we don't need to talk about that. But there was a part of the cadence that I ended on, or that was part of our routine, that I guess he couldn't hear what I was saying as we were leaving the stage. So he asked that I come back out and repeat the last thing that I said as we were leaving. So it's just, there's a video out there. I gotta dig it up. I don't think it's online. I think one of my aunts or something, my cousin has it on DVD or VHS. It's somewhere that I came back out and I was just like so stern, you know, only at 8 years old. I just remember my face and just being so stern and just so serious. And I can look back and I knew, I saw the FOI drilling when I was young, and I knew that there was nothing soft about it. So I knew that that's what I had to exude when I got the microphone.
Praise be to Allah. Okay. Look at you with the exclusive story. You a little to miss that. Should come back. Okay. Also, for everybody who's watching the inspirational tape, if you look on the inspirational tape that you're referring to, you would see a handsome junior FOI out of Chicago controlling the microphone. I mean, having the microphone controlling the people.
I'm gonna have to look again.
Yeah, please look again. You can type it in right on NOI inspirational tape right on YouTube, part 1 and 2.
You were really on that tape?
Clearly, I was the DI. Like, what are you saying? I
watched that tape probably over 100 times.
And I'm right there. Boom. You'll see Brother Vertis do a side salute like this. You will see me commanding the people. I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. Once again, you know what I'm saying? People try to write you out of history. It's all good. It's just, for everybody watching, please.
No, I really don't remember you being. All right, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
It's no problem. I mean, I can share the screen and show everybody on YouTube right now.
Oh my goodness.
Right now. It's no problem. Okay, well, what about as an adult? What's your favorite drill memory?
My favorite drill memory, of course, it has to be 2016. It was not a drill competition. We were actually preparing to be in the drill competition, representing Plainfield, New Jersey for the first time since the 90s, I believe. Okay. So it was a lot of nervousness on us because there had been no one in the Vanguard category that drilled from the Eastern region in the Vanguard category since the 90s. So, well, since the early 2000s, 2001. So we had a lot riding on it, and we were asked to drill in, I don't know, I think it was November or December of the year prior to Savers Day Drill Competition 2017. We were asked to drill for the Honorable Minister Sis Farrakhan at an event in Newark, New Jersey at Robert Tree Hotel. And I didn't think that we were ready at the time, but who's turning down that opportunity? And we had our big sisters around us. Sister Monique, shout out to Sister Monique, Brother Majid's wife. She believed in us. And she said, you don't have to do anything fancy. Just be the drill team, you know, do what you do, you know. And then we had to realize, okay, we're drillers, you know, this is no big deal. So we were able to put something beautiful together for him. And the manner in which we drilled was a little unorthodox. You know, normally there's other people on the program, and then there's a drill routine, and then there's announcers, and they bring on the minister. This time around, they announced the minister, and we were the introduction to him coming on the microphone. So it was like there was Sister Federica who announced him, and then we drilled, and then the next voice you heard was his. So that was so special. And I'm so proud of my team, because just him standing there looking down at us, and he saluted us before and after, and we were able to meet him that night in his hotel room. That was extra special. So I don't know, that had to be like hands down my favorite drill moment, just being in close proximity to the man of God and just having him co-sign our routine and just feeling his spirit that close up was priceless, man. I'm gonna be telling my grandchildren about that.
And shout out to everyone who was continue to like, share, subscribe to people's podcasts. Thank you. You even know what I'm about to say. Everybody who's watching, some people showing you love in the comments. I can't wait to put this on YouTube so we can continue to hear Sister Zaynah Muhammad and her growing up in the nation, and businesswoman Sister Zaynah Muhammad and growing up in the nation. Okay, well, speaking of growing up in the nation, many of us, including myself, we grow up in the nation, take some time, maybe whatever time it is, whatever, college, the world, or whatever, to figure things out. But everybody doesn't come and accept it. All nation babies don't accept the teachings. What was it about you, or was it about the teachings that made you want to accept?
To be honest, I have a strong self-accusing spirit at times. And I honestly felt like Allah was going to chastise me if I didn't. That, I'm just being honest. I felt that way because even though I recited at 16, I don't think that I took on the teachings on my own and took it seriously until a few years later. You know what I mean? So at 16, it just, not that it was drilled into my head, but it was just, okay, at 16, you have the decision. At 16, you have the decision. You're going to recite at 16. You know, everybody around you is reciting at 16. Well, most was reciting at 16. And that's what my parents expected me to do. And I felt like, ready or not, you know, this is the best place for you. Ready or not, you can do this. Ready or not, you can obey the laws of Islam. You know, it wasn't impossible. So it's like, recite at 16. Like, I didn't have anything pulling me by the grace of Allah in any other direction. I just didn't. You know, all my friends were in Islam, my close friends. I have like maybe 2 friends till this day that are not Muslim. You know what I mean? So I didn't have anything pulling me. And I think that I was blessed because a lot of my peers had a lot pulling them in the opposite direction. And I just was blessed I didn't have that situation. I wanted to be in the ranks. I wanted to get that, to be in a detail. I wanted that. Like that was that was the goal. Like being on DP and doing dignitary protection was like the epitome of like, you know, being a soldier. And I wasn't about to waste time and be out in the world and then come back later. I just didn't want that. You know, not that I didn't stumble and fall, not that I was a perfect Muslim. I surely was not, but I don't know. I had no interest to go any other route. So
it's alive, beautiful. And for the young brothers but specifically young sisters who are coming up and who are deciding whether or not which way they should go in their faith, what would you tell them?
I would say trust in Allah. And I know that sounds so cliche. However, it is a realist thing in the world. Because it's only when we don't trust these teachings and we don't believe that we're going to be rewarded in a tangible form, that's when we decide to go and explore and feel like we can gain more outside. But once you realize that being obedient has a tangible reward, that's what you got to realize. If you think it's just going to be all goo goo gaga and it's like, not goo goo gaga, but like spooky, you know what I mean? Like Allah's just going to have I don't know, he's just going to be your guardian. I don't know. I don't think spooky about this. And I think that when we take the spookiness out of it, we'll be more successful. I know that the blessing that I have, the tangible blessings that I have, is because I'm being steadfast. Like, know that that's the reason, and not just because it's just happenstance or you just know, like, he has favor on you because you're doing something, you're trying. So I never thought anything spooky about the teachings. And I think that's why I didn't stray away too far, because I also felt like you could get into a car accident tomorrow if you leave. Like, I would think like that.
Absolutely.
Like, I trip and fall down the stairs and break my neck. Like, I would think like that. Like, real life physical things can happen to you. And when you think about the real tangible chastisement, there's tangible blessings as well on the other side when you are obedient. So that's what I would say. Like, it's real life blessings out here when you are doing what you're supposed to do.
Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. And thank everyone who was in the comments. Thank everybody who continues to show Sis Zaynah love. I'm just impressed with hearing this side of you. I've seen followed you on social media, so I see more of the military, serious side. I haven't got a chance to hear the ministerial side. Would you ever want to go into the ministry?
It's funny you ask, because my parents put me on the rostrum when I was little.
Okay.
I think like 8 or 9 years old. And I wouldn't want to. You know, as a Muslim woman, I find it more comfortable for me to speak to women. You know what I mean? Directly, not men and women, both. I don't know. I feel like I have so much more to share with women directly that I would want that one-on-one conversation. When we go out in the community, when we're doing community outreach, that's where I feel the most comfortable. So I don't know. I'm not comfortable talking to like both sides.
Okay.
I'm just not.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Praise be to Allah for you, understanding your strengths and,
Mm-hmm.
where you're going. A lot of young sisters are looking for mentorship.
Yeah.
A lot of young sisters are looking for guidance. If they, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the young sisters, y'all hear that? Please reach out to Sis Zaynah Muhammad if y'all going through something. You know what I'm saying? She's been there and she teaches. So praise be to Allah. I have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast, and we have to come back and continue to hear from this drill instructor who I think that what you all seeing today, please, where can they find your clips on YouTube? I'm saying, like, you would never know this is the same, the same sister who was on stage drilling, doing all kind of going to war talk. So, it's good to be balanced, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Can we YouTube, like, where can people see your drill routines?
If you YouTube State of the Black World in Newark, New Jersey, I believe the routine is up there when we drilled for the minister. I don't believe any of our Savior's Day drill routines are on YouTube, but they are on Facebook.
And just type in Newark Vanguard. What do you type in?
You would have to type in Plainfield Vanguard on Facebook.
Okay. You gotta make this easier for people. All right, so Plainfield.
I know.
Plainfield Vanguard. All right, boom. Hold on. 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. This episode, hold on. This season, this is a new season starting the month off. I'm so grateful for all of the sponsors, continued sponsors of the People's Podcast, for all of the guests, and most importantly, you all, the people, the viewers who continue to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash out the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera, a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go out and get both of those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. We love our tiny dancers. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, Sister Lovett, for always showing love in the comments. Everyone who's showing love in the comments. Sister Rashida Rafat, Raw Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy, editing, project management, content development, she's just media relations. She does a phenomenal job. Raw Communications, Sister Rashida Rafat. Please reach out to her. Out of Houston, Texas, Elevated Places, Sister Melvin Muhammad. They're just a phenomenal school, an institution, but they engineering, Spanish, all these different languages. Sister Melvin Muhammad out of Houston, Texas, where I am what God says I am. Thank you very much to Elevated Places. Our brother student minister out of Austin, Texas, Brother Robert L. Muhammad, conflict mediation, squashing the beef in the communities. Thank you very much for coming right back to our sister, Sister Zaynah Muhammad. Sister Fudia Muhammad, his wife, Children of the Most High, an amazing book on giving birth to gods and the science of child rearing. She does a great job in the book and in real life with her actual children. Brother Kenneth, Bowtie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Thank you, everybody. Continue to like, share, subscribe. Asiatic Minds, a phenomenal school, virtual. If you want to send your children online virtually during the pandemic, please reach out to Asiatic Minds, Sister Sherry Muhammad. I've witnessed it with my own eyes, the amazing job they do with those students all across the country, raising gods, kings and queens. AsiaticMinds.com. Please reach out. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. For the Rashad Muhammad COVID-19 Disinfectant Cleaning Services in Chicago. My father's book, A Sojourn Movement of Christ, and his new book that just came out, Down Is Not Out, AbdulSharif.com. Thank you very much. Last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is the children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Sister Zaynah, have you ever read my books? I mean, we seem to know each other, and I've never seen you post my book or something.
Yes.
So have you read my book before?
I did read No Father, No Excuse.
And what were your thoughts on that?
I think it was a great book. And I think that it gave meaning and it gave word form to how a lot of maybe many children in the nation feel about their parents being ministers or like regional captains. Because I think that that's something that has been going on for generations, but there was no one to really put it into words. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to call our parents absent. I don't think no one wants to do that. So I think you articulated that feeling very well and definitely gave some motivation and some insight to that because it was great. It was great to read what I've been feeling a little bit myself personally and read it into a book and to know that other people are going through the same thing.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that plug. I'm chopping that clip up and putting that on my book page. Thank you very much for that. Your siblings. Speaking of social media, I see that you have a great relationship. It appears, you know, everything social media. You know, we all big families. Everybody don't seem to get along, but you all seem to be very much like the Huxtables, like the Jacksons. Y'all all riding ATVs, going on trips together. What makes you and your siblings so tight?
As siblings, you know, we allow each other to be ourselves. And because we've all grown up the same way, but we've all taken different paths as adults, we can learn from each other, you know, because we haven't all gone through the same thing. You know, we've had different journeys in life that allow us to share with one another that things that we wouldn't be exposed to or we wouldn't know. So I think that all of my siblings were all very different and we all lead 4 different lives. So when we come together and we allow each other to just be ourselves, no judgment, no condemnation, you know, we're not judging one another, that solidifies the bond. You know, I'm able to be myself around my siblings. They're able to be themselves around me. We don't ask each other to compromise our faith. We don't ask each other to compromise what we find fun or what we find joy in and peace in. So we have those, I don't want to say boundaries, but they are little boundaries. We have that with each other. So we're able to just keep the bond alive because no one gets left out. Nobody feels like they're changing up on the other person, you know. So I think that's why. We keep in contact, we keep in communication as well.
Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. That's incredible. My siblings and I, we watched the interview with your parents. And we just spoke about this so much because they were so transparent and so fun. You seem a little bit more serious. Your parents seem a little bit more fun, a little cooler about it. But what's I'm just saying, what's your favorite memory of your parents, like, you know, growing up in your household?
My favorite memory of them, I would have to say us traveling. We didn't take many vacations. Savior's Day was the vacation. So we would drive, we would not fly. We didn't start having flight money until like later in life. So we would drive from New Jersey all the way to wherever Savior's Day was. And it normally would be in Chicago. So you figure that's 12, 13 hours of us in the car. So that has to be my favorite memory of them because we would talk about different things. One thing about my parents, they talked to us like we would talk about real life stuff at a very, very young age, and they wouldn't talk at us. Like my father would force us to have something to say back, you know. He wouldn't just lecture us all day. Okay, what do you think about this, Zaynah? I want to hear what your thoughts are. So he forced us to just pull from our young minds and to express ourselves. So we felt heard, you know, we felt like how we viewed the lecture mattered to him. You know, we wouldn't just go to a mosque meeting and just nothing. He would ask, and we would all be ready to just, okay, what am I going to say when Daddy asks about the lecture? Oh my God, what did he talk about? We would try to remember different points because we knew my father was going to pull from our minds. So I definitely enjoyed those memories, those long, long, long road trips and conversations.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, what has been your greatest trial in life, and how have you overcome that trial?
The greatest trial that I've had has to be divorce. That was like the greatest trial of mine. It knocked me off my feet. You know, I felt like my faith was like rock solid, and that just had me wavering. You know, I'm not even gonna front, it had me wavering, and I was just like, what is going on? You know, it was real. It was so real. And coming back to my foundation is what got me through that. Thank Allah, I have a very, 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 very strong mother who was in my corner the whole time. And I have a strong sisterhood that pretty much reintroduced me to who Allah is. Because, you know, when you have someone who is supposed to be your other half, and you're supposed to be being one with Allah, and it's no longer that, now it's just you, it kind of throws off your equilibrium. And I literally forgot who I was and who God was. So in that time period, it can get very dark. It can get very confusing. And you feel like you want to just say, you know, F all this, really, in a sense. You just want to step away and just have a break and just, but that's not where the reward is. That's not where the resolution is. That's just giving up. That's just staying still. That's just prolonging the time of healing. So I thank Allah again and again for my mother for being there, for the sisterhood for being there. And without them, I don't know how I would get through it. So I would say my sisterhood is definitely what got me through.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. And thank you for your honesty and transparency.
Yes.
If there's any other, you know, young sister who may be going through divorce, what advice would you give them to help them to heal?
I would say silence, just be still. Be still and be silent. Because when you start to take in the noise, take in how you think your life is supposed to be, and take in someone else's life. Okay, they went through this. Why am I going through this? You start to compare yourself. That's not going to do anything for you, because this is your life. This is the only life that you have, and it is not cookie cutter. It is not cookie cutter. Allah doesn't owe any of us a perfect life. Allah does not owe us a trial-less life. So once you realize and get off of yourself and just feel like you're not being picked on, and it gets silent, and let Allah speak to you. Again, I ain't trying to be spooky, but let Allah speak to you. When we cloud ourselves with other people's situations and other people's bad advice, and oh my God, he did this. Oh, what are you gonna do? I don't know. It seems to be a lot of noise when we're going through things. You have a lot of people who want to help you, but then you have a lot of people who just want to be nosy, and you have a lot of people who just want to see you down. So when you're going through something, a lot of times it's important to just quiet the noise and let Allah speak to you, and you'll be surprised the comfort that you find in his bosom, in a sense. You know, just is comfort there. And I don't know why we turn away from that and like to go other places. We like to seek other vices. You know, other people, they want to do this to get an outlet and do that, but there's true comfort is wrapped up in Allah's wisdom, and you'll be surprised the rejuvenation that you feel when you just let him talk to you. Okay, this is what you do, and you'll be surprised the type of people he leads into your life, whether it be a listening ear, whether it be something your daughter says to you that motivates you. It could be in little things. It can be in nature, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know some sisters say, you know, they saw like a blossom of flowers, and that was the thing that made them get up out of their funk, in a sense. So, you know, that's something that I would say, just allow Allah to get in, and you'll be all right from there. Everybody's story is not going to be the same. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you what, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because what works for me may not work for everybody. But I know that Allah is the constant for all of it.
Okay. Praise be to Allah.
Don't be extra.
I'm just saying, Judge, if I would have never knew you was just teaching like this as the minister. I didn't know. This is powerful. You give me a lot of talking points. I mean, to chop up and share on social media to all these women out here. Sister Line, Henry Muhammad says powerful testimonies. Sister Robin says assalamu alaikum, and love, and Brother William says the greetings. And thank everybody who continues to like, share, subscribe to people's podcasts. And thank you, Sister Zaynah, for your transparency and positive energy. Praise be to Allah. And I'm sure your parents are very proud. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to your parents. And shout out to one person that you love to post a lot on social media, who is your daughter. Can you tell us how being a mother has impacted you?
Being a mother, I feel like it just solidified my journey in Islam. And I have to go back to that all the time, my journey in Islam, because it doesn't ever stop. It doesn't ever stop. Like it is a continuous line. And I feel like I knew what I wanted from my daughter, and I knew that I had to be that and not just teach that. Because a lot of times we say the right things, but we forget our children are looking at us. They're seeing who we are. You know, aside from our spouses, we forget our spouses are not the only people that see the bad side and the at home and the real us. Our children see the real us too. So we can't fake it with them, fake righteousness with them when they see how we act at home. You know, I'm not going to tell my child, don't curse, but I'm cursing at home. You know what I mean? I'm not going to tell my child, this is how you should carry yourself as a Muslim woman. And she sees the way I carry myself, and it might be the contrary. So when I had her, I understood that from the beginning. So I knew, okay, Zaynah, it don't matter what you tell her. She's going to follow what you do. Regardless to what comes out your mouth, she's going to be like you through and through. And she's like that. You know what I'm saying? She sometimes speaks out of turn. You know, she's always in the adult's business because she's exuding her mother. You know what I mean? She's not exuding a 7-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So she's taking on these mature mannerisms because that's who I am. You know, so that it sharpened me up. It gave me even more will to keep striving and to keep accomplishing my goals. Having her motivated me to go back to school, because I'm not going to sit here and tell her to accomplish her dreams, and then she's asking me, don't you want to be, when are you going to be a nurse? Like she's not, you know, she's asking me, when you said you wanted to be a nurse, why aren't you a nurse? So if I'm not going after what I want to do, how will she have the tools and the blueprint to accomplish her goals and do what she wants to do? So motherhood has been beautiful. It has been rough. It has been hard because she will call me on different things and pull my code, and it's just like, okay, I gotta be on my pins and needles, my P's and Q's all the time because she's always watching me. And we know our children tell our business, so I knew she was going to tell my business wherever she at, and I wanted her to be able to say some good things. Yeah, mommy was at home and I saw her doing this, and it'd be something Islamic, you know, it'd not be nothing crazy, because she's a talker, and I knew that wherever she was in this world, wherever she would be, I wanted her to be able to say beautiful things about me, because I know with my mother, I haven't seen my mother act other than herself ever. I've heard about it. I've been told about it, but I've never seen it. So there's no way I can say anything different or act any different way. I've never seen my mother undignified, even at home. And I wanted my daughter to be able to say that about me.
Praise be so beautiful. Shout out to your daughter and shout out to your mother as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. And bring some balance. Shout out to your father for, teach you all the ministerial stuff that you got. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the word of God. Thank you. My next question for you is fear. Okay, so you murder capital of the East Coast in Newark, in this new place you just made up. I gotta Google Appalachia, Jersey. What's it called?
Asbury Park.
Asbury Park, Jersey. In your tenure there, in your time there, has there ever been a time when you were faced with fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
That's something. In Asbury Park, I would have to say, when we went to public school, that was fearful for me. And I know that sounds like some real punk stuff, but it really was. Because when you're used to knowing everybody, knowing their parents, growing up with them, and your learning environment, it's easy, it's comfortable, it's secure. My parents had to put us in public school for various reasons. I'm sure it wasn't by, intentional, and by choice. It was something that they had to do. But it was a fearful transition because I didn't know how to fit. I didn't know where I fit in the public school system. I didn't know who to gravitate to, what type of friends I wanted. Sometimes I didn't know what to say when they questioned me about my Islam, because I never had to defend it. I never had to defend why I covered my hair. I never had to defend why I don't eat this, why you'll never catch me wearing this, wearing shorts and really, really short sleeve shirts or tank tops. I couldn't defend it the way that I knew that I could, because I never had to defend my Islam ever in life. So that was a fearful moment that was short-lived, thank Allah, because it only lasted probably that first school year in public school. And I was able to sharpen myself up, and it forced me to read different things and ask different questions, because I knew I didn't want nobody asking me next time and not having an answer for it. So it would just be little things about the whole 9/11 thing. I had my views about it, but during that time, they was going to jump on you if you say 9/11 was an inside job or it was the U.S. government. Oh my God. It was just certain topics I would never bring up because I didn't want the smoke. I did not want the smoke. I'll talk about it with my Muslim friends and my Muslim family. So I'm not even gonna front that. It was a fearful time, but what else you gonna do? All it did was make me stronger. All that did was make me a better defender. So I thank Allah for it, but that was definitely a fearful time.
Okay, great. And thank you for your testimony and honesty about that.
Yes.
And it's crazy how we grow up in a nation but have different upbringings, because I went from MUI private school to public school, and it was the greatest. I wanted that environment.
Yeah.
Not the wildness of it, but it was just I did not like knowing everybody. I wanted to play sports. I wanted, what I'm saying? So as a man and a woman, I think a brother and sister type thing, I think it's different. You didn't play sports.
Yeah.
Me, sports, and I couldn't wait. Praise be to Allah. Okay, boom. My next question for you is, let's get down to your business. What is your new business and how did it come about?
My business is Deific, Deific. A lot of people see it and they pronounce it wrong. It is Deific. The word is to make divine or godly. Okay. It's pretty much the adjective form of deity, which is like a god, something divine. So my cousin and a really, really close sister of mine, Aaliyah and Nafisa, during this pandemic, they were starting businesses. And they say, birds of a feather flock together, you're gonna keep people around you that you want to aspire to be like, and you have common interests. So they're popping off with their businesses, and it kind of put like a target on me. It was kind of like, well, what you gonna do? You know, they got this, you go, what you doing? You know, not that I felt, well, yeah, I'm gonna say I felt peer pressure, because the good peer pressure is good. So I felt like I was peer pressured into doing for self.
Okay.
And I had already been sewing. Already making things. I already possessed a sewing machine. I bought a sewing machine in college because I was tired of buying clothing that didn't fit me. So I bought a sewing machine so that I can buy something and tailor it to fit me the way it's supposed to fit. So that's where it started. And then there was a sister and my sister Yvonne, Allah bless her, who guided me into making it look more professional, into making it look like it came right off the rack in the store. So she took me, and I would go over her house and she would walk me through step by step how to make a garment from start to finish, just from straight fabric. So I had that skill really, really early. So I knew that I could sew. So I said to myself, okay, I want to have a brand that represents something righteous. You know, I didn't want a brand that's like, oh, that's a Muslim brand, you know, but I wanted God to be involved, but I didn't want to be put in a box like, oh, that's that Christian brand or that's that Muslim brand. You know, I didn't want to have, you know, just Arabic. And then I don't know, I didn't want to just be in a box. I wanted to have God involved, but I wanted anybody in the world to be able to relate to it and wear it. So that book, that word deific, is actually in one of Dr. Wesley's books. So that's where it really derived from.
Okay.
And it bloomed from there. I mean, I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. I just knew that I knew that I could start off doing things that I knew how to do already. And I knew how to make crew necks, and I knew how to make modest crew necks. So I said, let me start there. And then the beanies came, and then I had the satin lined beanies. And then it's just adding on now. Now I have t-shirts, now I have baseball caps, now I have bucket hats, and it's blossoming. And I thank Allah for the nation, because they have been my greatest supporters right now. But yeah, I'm still growing. I'm coming up on my first year anniversary next month. So inshallah, I'll have some fall things available very, very soon.
Okay, all praises to Allah. Excellent. And I was looking for the mail today so I could do a grand gesture of an unwrapping or something like that. That's not the reality. So because I want to, support you and wear your clothes, support Black business, everybody out there support, independent designers. Where can we go? What's the website? Is it Instagram, Facebook? What we do?
The website is deificnow.com, DEIFIC now.com. And when you go on the website, the Facebook and Instagram are all on the website too.
Excellent. And you're saying once we order this, we can get snapbacks, some hoodies. What'd you say? Explain what's going to be.
Well, right now, because the fall isn't here yet, we have different t-shirts, and you have different baseball caps and beanies. Now, the special thing about it is that you can get your own embroidery color. I invested in a industrial embroidery machine. So if you wanted to get a white shirt, but you don't want black letters, you just bought some yellow sneakers, you can get yellow letters. If you want to get a baseball cap and you got red sneakers, you don't want to have white letters, you can get red letters. So you can customize the color of the brand that you want on your t-shirt. So that's an added bonus that you have. You can really be creative. So everybody won't be wearing the same thing.
Okay. Well, we definitely gonna support it. I'm looking forward to a shirt, some whatever else, I'm saying, that's coming in the mail, the socks, whatever exclusive things you can get. We look forward to it. Okay, I just have 3 more questions for you. Very much. And thank everybody who's continuing to watch, like, share, and subscribe. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. All right. Sis Zaynah, if you had a chance to meet God and speak to him face to face, and you could ask him one question, what would you want to ask him, ma'am?
That's an interesting question, and I still have not thought of it. So this is going to be really, really like spontaneous. If I could ask God anything, I will probably ask him what he sees in me. Because I think that he, of course, would look beyond the surface, and he would look into my soul. And he would really be able to tell me what he sees. And I think once, if Allah tells you what he sees in you, it's only up from there, you know. So I would love to know the qualities and characteristics that he sees in me. I would ask him that.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And if he could ask you one question, what do you think that he would ask you?
That's another hard one because I feel like he knows everything. God knows everything. So I think that he would ask me, I think he would ask me, do I trust him? Do I really trust him? Because we talk about faith all the time. And I've mentioned it numerous times on this call and talking about fleeing towards him. But I have my moments, you know, none of us are perfect, you know, as long as we stay the course. But I have my moment where I feel like I fall short of that faith in him. And it doesn't last long, praise be to Allah, because the longer it lasts, you know, that's the issue. That's where the problems come in. That's where the rebellion steps in. But I just feel like I have my moments where I doubt. So I think that he would ask me, even though he already knows, he probably would ask me, do you really trust me? Or why don't you trust me, maybe?
Okay, great. Well, we have one more question for you, and I want to thank you again and thank your family. Shout out to your parents and your siblings, and thank everyone who's watching. Your legacy. Oh no, hold up. I gotta ask a music question. What's your favorite album of all time?
My favorite album of all time is, of course, it's a Beyonce album.
Okay. Which one?
And it's her self-titled album, Beyonce. I can listen to that album front to back, like over and over and over again. That's hands down my favorite because it's like it's very upbeat, and it's a song that I can put on when I'm in a good mood. So I love that album.
You know, hey, you already know she's behind me. You already know what it is. So shout out to Beyonce. Okay, what do you like to do for fun?
I love to travel. And I didn't realize how much I loved to do it until I went out the country with my parents for the first time. We went to Jamaica.
Okay.
And that was when I was like, I got back home and I was like, where else are we going to go? What's next? You know, I didn't want to stay still after that. And I realized that I really, really love to travel and not just go and be in a hotel. Like I want to go. What's the most fun thing to do in this city? What trail can we go on? You know, what excursion? So I really, really, really love to travel, even if it's just, I don't know, somewhere close by, but just I've never been. So, you know, recently we went to Niagara Falls, which is right in upstate New York, but it would have felt like we've traveled across the country when we went there. So I really, really love to travel.
Praise be to Allah. All right, last question. What do you want your legacy to be, ma'am?
My legacy. I want my legacy to be, I'm trying not to make it sound cliche, but this is really what I want.
Go ahead, give it to us.
I want a generation of faithful people. Like I want a solid family tree of believers. And that has nothing to do with career path. That has nothing to do with finances. Although I would love to be financially wealthy. I would love generational wealth. I don't want to be a broke generation or a broke family tree. Okay. I want generational wealth. Yes. However, I want a solid believing group, because that I feel like is more powerful. That will inspire more people. Even just looking at your family unit probably inspires way more people because it's your siblings and your parents and not just your dad. It wasn't just your mom. It wasn't just your sister. It wasn't just you. It wasn't just your brother. So it was the family unit. So I feel like you can reach so much more. I feel like the impression on the world and the impression that you can make with as many people as possible, that is what's important to me. And I don't, not just the mission, well, the mission, yes, but when you can see strong family and strong marriages, that is everything. That is everything to me. And, you know, going through the divorce that I went through was kind of like a small setback, but I'm not completely off track, you know, because I can still have that strong marriage, inshallah, in the future and keep this legacy goal going by the grace of Allah that has been started by my parents.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, that's incredible. And shout out to everyone who's watching. And man, shout out to your goals and your inspiration. And I have to go on your Instagram and just make some comments like, man, y'all don't know this sister is really like a minister out here. Like, deep stuff. Like I just thought you was like a DI. Come to find out you were a well-balanced sister. Praise be to Allah. Thank you very much for coming on the People's Podcast. Everybody, one more time, let's support Sis Zaynah with D-Ifis. I'm not going to
D-Ific.
Listen, I'm not going to butcher it, so I'm giving you the chance to say it.
Oh my God.
www.theificnow.com. Listen, get it. And I'm as soon as I get the shirt and everything, you know, I'm aware. We're gonna promote it. We're gonna help you out. Thank you very much. Thank everybody for watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you again, Sis Zaynah. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Alaikum salam.
Thank y'all for watching. No problem.